Hey everybody, what is going on? It's Blue. There has been a very recent post about upcoming class tuning coming for January 10th. So that's basically the next reset, right? So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this really quickly. This is there it is for Feral. Um, all ability damage is increased by 3%. Um, we will take it. We will take it. I honestly opened this up and I was like, okay, I honestly just opened this up thinking, let's look at some of the the higher end specs, and hopefully, they get nerfed, and then the lower end specs get buffed, and we'll kind of see where we are. I am feeling really good with Feral. And I know a lot of people are probably just like, well, Feral single target is low. And it's like, for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that though, you know? So this was very unexpected, um, and very amazing, wonderful news for all Feral players in M plus and in raid single targets. Now, when I saw this though, I was thinking, I'm like, wow, like to me, Feral is doing really well. But let's go ahead and look at the statistics and let's see how Feral is actually performing to see if this is like warranted, or maybe somebody just likes people playing Feral. You know what I'm saying? So we go ahead to the Warcraft logs, and first of all, we want to look at specific bosses, right? So let's look at Cleave. Let's look at AoE and how Feral's performing. Basically, to do this, we're going to look at Primal Council. I am taking a look at Mythic parses. We can go ahead and take a look at Heroic, and you can still see Feral's really high. Um, I think what we want to do is I think we want to look at Mythic. I do not progress in Mythic, and I would just imagine the Feral Druids that are progressing in Mythic probably have their 4 set. All the other individuals progressing through Mythic probably also have their 4 set, so it's a little bit better, probably more accurate information looking at Mythic versus Heroic. I mean, the individuals doing Mythic, they have basically 3 chances or 4 chances if you're doing the Raid Finder each week to try and get your tier set, right? So they have better odds of getting their tier depending on how far they're progressed. Like, obviously, there's very little guilds that are progressed fully through Mythic, but if they got 1 or 2 bosses that other individuals don't, the odds are higher. 1 or 2 tier bosses, sorry. So that's where we're going to take a look at Mythic. So we can see here Feral Druid is performing really, really well. Now, some of you guys might be like, well, Feral in dungeons, I feel like, Feral's AoE is not that great. I would disagree with you. Now, the thing about how Feral compares to a lot of different specs when it comes to AoE is Feral does not depend on their cooldowns. Okay? To do great AoE, we are not dependent on cooldowns whatsoever. So some specs that are like, hey, popping all their cooldowns on a pole, they can't beat us, sure. But for these elongated, long fights, Feral's going to really, really excel at that, and I think that's what we're seeing. So you might be like, oh, I don't feel like Feral's this high. To me, I believe it. Feral is really, really great AoE. Um, so that's really exciting. But what we really care to do, and you can imagine, you look at this and you're like, okay, so this is kind of how we are ranking compared to everybody else in AoE and just consistent AoE polls. We're getting 3% buff from this. So it's like, ooh, wow, this is a lot. I wasn't expecting that. Now, what are we looking in single target? This is Taros. So this is the second boss. Let's take a look at Heroic. So we're below average, just slightly below average on Mythic. And then Heroic, we're even further down. So yeah, this is probably the difference of like 2 pieces of gear versus like maybe Mythic, or maybe 4 piece, right? So let's continue with this. So let's look like we're a little bit below middle of the pack, but we're still middle of the pack. I mean, I know a lot of people are probably feeling like, oh my gosh, Feral single target is so bad. Um, and maybe that's coming from an environment of like maybe playing last expansion. I obviously didn't play a lot during last expansion, but I know at the beginning of the expansion on my Feral Druid when I was raiding, I still could top the charts on Feral Druid, it had very, very good single target. I don't know how that progressed throughout the expansion, but I understand that people are probably just like not feeling great about Feral in Raid, compared to last expansion. But like when you think about, hey, the AoE that we do, I'm happy. But anyways, just looking at these graphs, I was not expecting the 3%. I'm glad it's there. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to this so you guys can kind of check. What I like to do is I like to kind of look through other individuals, other specs that I'm kind of like have on the list that I'm like, oh, these ones are really good or these ones are really terrible and whatnot. And then I try to compare to see where Feral's at. But this is amazing news. Really, really excited for that. Really excited to just get my 4-piece and then just do crazy damage in dungeons and even more damage in dungeons next week. So wonderful news to be a Feral Druid. Really exciting. Wonderful. Awesome. So that was fun. But good luck, you guys. Good luck in your raids, your vaults. Hopefully we can get that tier piece. Still having some bad luck, but if I keep on pushing, eventually something's going to drop, right? But that's it for me. Take it easy, everybody. Peace out. Bye.